and welcome back to the garage for another session. So today I'm going to take off my version 2 of my tabletop mount, which allows the cables to twist, as you can see, and going to install the V3. So I'm just going to disconnect the power from the laser. I'm going to unplug. Now when you're unplugging the laser module, make sure you get your thumbnail or your fingernail on the white plastic, and you can hold the black cable but push up with your thumbnail and do not pull on the wires. So that's done, and now just going to take the laser module off just to get it out of the way. And you can see I've removed mine quite quickly there. So if you haven't seen my video on the smooth slider, which is that piece of wood here, the smooth slider, I'll link the video above or in the description. Go and look at that. It saves you a lot of time and it'll make your maintenance on your laser a lot easier, and you'll do it more frequently, which is good. Okay, so let's get back to this. So I am going to have to, let me take off my cable ties. Your cable, you won't have them there because you've got a standard bracket. And again, same with the gantry stepper motor. Get your thumbnail under the white connector and pull it out. Okay, that's my wiring harness out the way. So yours is going to look different to this, obviously, because you've only got the motor, and your motor, I believe the standard orientation for the cable connection is at the top. Now, seeing we have to remove the stepper motor to install this bracket, I recommend, as I'm showing here, that the connector ends up on the right hand side. Now I do recommend you can just undo the timing belt very slightly, because that will just make it easier to get the stepper motor out. So you're going to have to remove these bolts. Yours will be black, but you can get in with an Allen key. I've got these ball-ended Allen keys. There's a ball end this end and flat end this end. I can't remember whether they come standard with the machine or not, but they are handy. When you're using them, always use the flat end, this end, when you're finally torquing up the nut, so the bolt. So I'm just going to undo this one here, undo this one, and then you can, it's easy if you take the belt off in actual fact, because I was just trying to be lazy. You take the belt off out the way, it's a lot easier. Then you can get your Allen key in there with the flat end and just loosen the bolt, and now you can, with the ball end, go in the front slot, and then you can unwind the bolt. Don't worry if it drops on the profile. There's that one. It's much easier with the belt out of the way. Last time I did this, I left my belt in place and it was a bit of a struggle. So now we're on the top two. Again, you can use the ball end. As long as there's one bolt in there, it's not going to fall out. So on the last one, hold the stepper motor and then take the last bolt out. Okay, there we have it. And if you've never seen a stepper motor before, that's what it looks like. So, and while it's off, you can just make sure that the grub screws are just done up. You don't have to do them up tight, you're just making sure they are nipped up. So that's good. So I'm not going to show you how to glue this up because it's a very simple design. You've got a back plate which goes on that way. You've then got the slots that goes into the tabs. I think these are quite tight because that's how I cut them. so I'm not going to push that all the way in at the moment. And then you've got this part which just sticks on there. So you've got that sticking on there and that there. So I'm just going to go away and glue that up, and I'll be back. So before I finally glue these parts together, someone's going to ask, why is there two sections at the top? That's because I didn't want the slots and tabs to be on the outer edge. If you're not going to use the tabletop design, you can omit these two big holes and drill a series of smaller holes in there, and then when that's sitting on the bracket and you tie your cables onto here, it's a nice smooth transition between where the cables are tied and then the cables coming out. They're not going to rub on a lip. So this bracket has two functions: either the tabletop design, which will have these holes, or I'll do another design where I'll omit these holes and put a series of 4.5mm holes, and then you can just put that on and then secure your cables to it without having the twisty top on there. So you can see here I was experimenting with this version 2 about the hole placements. Anyway, let me go and finish gluing this up and I'll be back. So while I'm waiting for the glue to go off, just going to run over the tabletop swivel part. It has 3 spacer brackets, all 3mm, and inside you capture a M5 nut. So when you're gluing up, you just drop the nut in, glue all the parts together, and that's it, done. So nothing special there. You can drop a bit of wood glue or super glue on the nut to make sure it's not wobbly in there, but it should be quite a firm press fit. So to make this, you are going to need some M5 nuts. The bolts, you only need 1. So 20mm, 2 washers and 3 nuts, because you have 2 to clamp the first bolt onto the bracket, and then 1 nut inside the swivel mount. So that's that. And you are going to need some longer M3 bolts for the motor mount. I'm just measuring these. I've got 10mm and they fit fine. So that's M3 10mm for the motor mounts. So here we are, we're all glued up. I dropped some bolts through just to align the holes so that we can now assemble onto the, so now we can assemble that onto the frame. So that's going to go behind there. So get your stepper motor with the motor wires on the right hand side. Check that the holes line up, which they should if you followed my design and you've got your machine set up well. Then holding the two together, push it through. So I find it easier to push the bolt through the back first, so it's gone through both the wood and now it's touching the metal. Just with the ball end, very gently start to do it up, and you're feeling that the threads are going to catch. If it gets tight, back it off. That's not going in nicely. So I reverse the thread and now it's gone in. So that's now gripping. Just snug it up and then back it off half a turn, and that's going to help you get the other bolts in. So I'm going to do the other top one. Going to lift the motor up, push the bolt in through by hand. It's gone all the way down. Use the ball end lightly, get it started. That's fine. So my other 2 screws are hiding, they're actually still in the metalwork down there. So I'm going to push my ball end through the gap, pick up one of the bolts, wiggle it in lightly. It's going in into the next one. Can't quite see this side. pick up the nut, wiggle it in lightly, and then just snug them up. No pressure at all because you're using the ball end. Snug it up, and then using the flat end, then you can go in and just snug them up. Again, you don't have to do these up tight, they're not going to vibrate loose. That's hardly a turn, hardly anything. Again, and that's it. So now just got to put your belts back on, so you should be familiar how to do that. And so with the Allen key, I'm just trying to flick it under the belt, get it up, and once it's up, doing this left-handed, which I'm going to do this right-handed. Get the Allen key under it, and then you can lift it up. To get the Allen key under it, you can then turn the Allen key, so then you've got the wider part of the Allen key, and grip the belt. As you're pulling it through, make sure you don't twist it. Then it goes over the roller, and then just push it down using something to poke the belt down under that roller. Then once it starts going, you can pull it through. And then just push the belt through the end slot. That's it, it's all done. Put the T-nut back in. Give the belt a little pull. Get the T-nut in there. And once you've got it in, just slide the motor backwards and forwards, checking. At the moment you've got no flat spots on your wheels. Now you will find a resistance on this because you're motoring the motor around, but if you're pushing it, you should only need equal pressure. If you feel like a big notch, see my video about flat wheels, and what it means is you need to adjust the eccentric nut on the bottom, and then anyway, see the video about the flat wheels and adjusting the eccentric nut, and that will show exactly what happens if you over tighten these. Anyway, that's it now. So now what we got is a 20mm M5 bolt. You can put it through either hole, it should work, but I'm going to select the inner hole because I think that works best for my setup. Then a washer, then a nut, then you just need to knit them up. Because this bolt you don't want to rotate. So now you've assembled this, remember to put the nut inside, and then all you're going to do is screw that down till it stops, and then back a turn. So then that will allow that to rotate. And that's it, that's the bracket installed. It's that easy. And now it's just a matter of, well, first of all, putting your laser back on. So I'm going to put that back on. So because I've got the smooth slider, all I do is I put an M5 nut there, and an M5 nut there. I've got none of these small stupid screws at the back. That's it, that's my laser on. Just going to drop that down to the normal height, And then I've got these two little gadgets which go on the nuts. Just slip them over, and that allows you to tighten them up. And that's my head back on. So when I'm doing maintenance, it's easy, because I'm not struggling at the back to release those two small screws, and then I'm not struggling again to put the damn screws back. Anyway, so now I need to find some cable ties. So now what you've got to decide is how you're going to place your cables. Now my cables are different from yours because I've removed the stiff outer sheathing of the whole cable assembly. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm just going to offer that into there, going to drop that in there, and in actual fact I'm going to move that back one, screw it down so it gets stiff, and back one turn, and don't worry if it wobbles a bit, that's just the threads playing up. So now I'm going to hold that because my cable ties are going to go around the heat shrink, and that's going to give me better radius on my cable. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to thread a cable tie through and up the other side, making sure it comes out the right way and it's not twisted. Saying that, I did it back to front, so make sure it's round the right way. Put another one on there, same way, to make it look symmetrical. Now I'm going to offer up my cable. Making sure these extra cables are ready for my automatic Z lift. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to do an automatic one which is motorized and a manual one, so going to cover it for everybody. So that wants to go about there, I think. Going to just push that heat sink up a little bit, and I'd be very interested to see people that, well, if anyone makes this and you still got your stiff cable, how you get on with it, because obviously I've removed my stiff cable, so that's secured. Just going to nip them off. Going to put that back in. Going to put my motor back in. And then finally put a zip tie. However, that rests in there nicely, and that's just secured that one on, so that's not pulling on the on that. So that is the system installed. So just make sure this is moving. Get my air assist tube out of the way. And that will allow the, you can just see it's twisted out that side as it comes back. It's twisting, 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 twisting. And there you go. So that's it. So you'll notice when I'm moving my gantry side to side, I'm doing it slowly because now the motor is plugged in. The motors act as generators. If you've ever moved your laser head and you see the red LED start glowing on the top, you're moving too fast. So I wouldn't do it as fast as that. Anyway, that's it. That is the bracket installed. So whether you go for the tabletop version, or you just use this bracket arrangement where the two 5mm holes won't be there and there'll be a series of 4.5mm holes, then you can just tie your wires onto that gantry, and it just gives you some more options of how to position your cables other than sort of zip tying it to the holes at the back of the bracket. Anyway, that's that. Now the side one, I'm not going to go through the gluing assembly because it's really straightforward. The top is the same sort of design, although I do have an extra nut under the bottom, because why did I do that? I think it was just height. I did that for height. You will need a longer M5 bolt for the motor wheel, and I'm thinking that was 25mm. 30mm. You need a 30mm M5 bolt at the bottom. You need a slightly longer M5 bolt for this, because there's 2 holes in the side, and your design will have an extra 2 holes here, because then you can secure your stepper wire onto that if you wanted to. And that's it. So let me know what you think. Please comment down below if you've made this, and if you have made it and you still got your original cables, let me know how it works out for you. And if you think there can be an improvement to it, let me know. I can always change the CAD files and repost it. Anyway, that's Andy wishing you a very good afternoon. Continue to make happy smoke as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for making it to the end of my videos. If I've earned your respect and your trust, perhaps you would consider subscribing to my channel. It really does make a massive difference. And maybe you would like to watch some of the videos popping up on the screen now. Let me know what you think. Cheers for now.